In this scorching heat, he lay, a mighty lion, king of beasts, but now utterly helpless. His name was Mbali, which means flower in Zulu, but this flower was wilting. Days without water or food had taken their toll. His nose was cracked, his eyes dulled, and his strength was fading with every breath. The drought this year was particularly cruel. Rivers had dried up and prey had moved on in search of water. For Mbali, each step was heavier than the last. He was alone, his pride had moved on, and he, weakened, couldn't keep up. The lion who once made the savannah tremble with his roar could now barely lift his head. Mbali was on the brink. In moments like these, nature is unforgiving, only the strongest survive. But fate had something unexpected in store for him. Her name was Amina. She was traveling through Africa, studying its wildlife. Amina wasn't just a tourist, she was a photographer and a conservationist, her heart beating in rhythm with the savannah. She came here to capture the beauty of the wild, but never imagined she'd become part of such a story. Amina spotted Mbali from a distance. At first, she thought he was just resting, but something about his posture alarmed her. She drove closer, cautiously, so as not to startle him. When she saw his cracked nose and labored breathing, her heart sank. Amina knew how dangerous it was to approach a wild animal. A lion is no house cat. Even weakened, he could be deadly. But she couldn't just drive away. Something inside urged her to act. She poured water into an old metal bowl she carried for such moments. Carefully, so as not to provoke Mbali, she placed the bowl a few meters away from him and stepped back. Now all she could do was wait. At first, Mbali eyed the bowl with suspicion. In his world, humans often meant danger, but thirst was stronger than fear. He crawled closer, his movements slow, almost agonizing, and then, finally, he began to drink. Each drop of water brought him back to life. Amina watched, holding her breath. She didn't move, didn't make a sound, afraid to disrupt the moment. After a couple of minutes, Mbali lifted his head. His gaze, once clouded, was now clearer. And then something happened that Amina would never forget. Mbali looked straight into her eyes. There was no threat, no fear in that gaze. There was something human. He slowly approached, his massive paws barely touching the ground, and then he did something extraordinary. Mbali gently brushed his muzzle against her hand, as if thanking her for his salvation. Amina froze. Her heart pounded, not from fear, but from the awe and warmth she felt in that moment. It wasn't just a gesture, it was a bridge between two worlds, the wild and the human. But the story didn't end there. Amina realized that a single drink of water wasn't enough. Mbali was still weak and his chances of surviving alone were slim. She decided to do more. She had food and water in her jeep, but she knew a lion needed more than temporary aid. Amina contacted local rangers via radio who knew the area better than anyone. She explained the situation, describing Mbali and his condition. The rangers promised to come as soon as possible, but warned it would take time. Amina stayed, watching the lion from a distance to avoid disturbing him. She saw him lie down next to the bowl, as if guarding it, sipping more water now and then. His movements were slightly more confident, but he was still far from the mighty beast he once was. While waiting for the rangers, Amina began photographing Mbali. Her camera captured every detail, his cracked nose, his weary eyes that were slowly regaining their spark. Those photos would later become part of her exhibition, but in that moment she wasn't shooting for fame. She wanted to preserve this encounter, this incredible moment of trust. Through her lens, she saw not just a lion, but a soul fighting to survive. Hours later, the rangers arrived. They were astonished to see how calmly Mbali behaved around Amina. Typically, even weakened lions showed aggression or fear, but Mbali was different. The rangers carefully examined him, gave him water mixed with nutrients, and decided he needed to be taken to a reserve where he could recover. They noted his scars from past battles, signs of a life full of challenges in the wild. Transporting a lion is no easy task. Umbali was large, even in his weakened state, and he needed to be sedated for safe transport. Amina watched as the rangers carefully administered the tranquilizer, her heart tight with worry. She didn't want Umbali to feel betrayed after the trust he had shown her, but everything went smoothly. Umbali fell asleep and they loaded him into a special van. Amina followed, unwilling to leave him alone. At the reserve, Umbali was placed in an enclosure where veterinarians monitored him. They confirmed he was severely dehydrated but not in critical condition. With proper care, he could fully recover. Over the next few weeks, Amina visited Umbali often. She couldn't explain why she felt such a bond with this lion, but each time she saw him, she noticed his eyes growing brighter. The vets told her that Umbali was likely a pride leader but had lost his position due to the drought and his weakness. Now, in the reserve, he had a chance to start anew. Amina helped the rangers, bringing food and even joining fundraising efforts for the reserve to support other animals in need. Her dedication inspired the staff, who saw her not just as a visitor but as someone truly committed to the cause. 2 months later, Umbali was ready to return to the wild. Amina was there on the day of his release. She stood at the edge of the savannah watching as Umbali, now strong and full of energy, took his first steps into freedom. He paused, turned, and looked at her, the same knowing gaze. Then he turned and vanished into the tall grass, reclaiming his life as the king of the savannah. Amina knew she'd never see him again, but that moment would stay with her forever. This story isn't just about saving a lion, it's about how a small act of kindness can change a fate. Amina didn't walk away, didn't shy from danger, and wasn't afraid to trust her heart, and Umbali returned that trust. Their encounter is a reminder that even in the harshest of worlds, there's room for compassion. Amina continued her travels, but this story now lived in her heart, one she shared with anyone who would listen. Her photographs of Umbali spread across the world, inspiring people to be kinder, more attentive, and braver. Years later, she would reflect on how that one day reshaped her view of the interconnectedness between humans and animals. And who knows, perhaps somewhere in the savannah, Umbali still remembers the woman who gave him a second chance. Perhaps his roar, echoing at sunset, is his way of saying thank you. Dear friend, thank you for watching this video. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to catch more inspiring stories from the wild. Your support helps us share these moments with you. See you in the next video.